right, so welcome back. This is Explain 1. So just to make the video shorter, I thought I would just create a new video with Explain 1, and then I'll do a new video with Explain 2, and then Explain 3, just so that then you can just watch the parts that you need. So determining the intercepts of a linear equation, so this is page 212. So I know that if I'm looking at the y-intercept, I know that x value is going to always be 0. So that's what I know. So if I'm looking at the y-intercept, so if I draw a little graph right here, and I'm looking at the y-intercept, so here's a y-intercept, I know whatever value y is on here, my x is always going to be 0. So that is the y-intercept. And then the same thing with the x-intercept. If I draw a little graph on here, so this is x, this is y. Again, let me mark it over here, x, y. So I know the x-intercept, the y is always going to be 0. So no matter where the point is along here, I know that that y is always going to be 0. So I'm going to have a value for x, and then my y is going to be just 0. So in this one too, whatever. So this is x, and my y is just 0. So I'm going to get x. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find those x and y intercepts. So I want you to make sure that you write this down. And so this is just to prompt you where the 0 goes. So the x-intercept, the 0 is going to go at y, and the y-intercept, the 0 is going to go at x. All right, so let's look at our first example. And you're going to take the equation here, and you can see this equation is in standard form, ax plus by is equal to c. And you always want to, when you're just solving them, you always just want to put them in standard form. And so that just means x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. So just to kind of walk through this example, so I have my equation 3x minus 2y is equal to 0. So I want to solve for the x-intercept. So I'm just going to take my equation 3x plus, minus 2y, so 2 times 0, so I'm going to just substitute it in, is equal to 6. So you know that this here is 0, so 3x minus nothing is 6, so 3x is equal to 6, and we're just solving an equation, so we're going to divide both sides by 3 because this is a multiplication problem, so therefore x is equal to 2. So I know my x-intercept here is 2. So if I wanted to write that as an ordered pair, I would just say 2, 0. So now I found the x-intercept, so now I want to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to do the same thing, but this time my y-intercept, my x is 0. So my equation is 3x minus 2y is equal to 6. So I'm going to just substitute in that 0 where my x is. Bring everything down. So this just simplifies out. And now I'm going to go ahead and divide by that -2. So y then is equal to -3. So my y-intercept is a -3. And if I wanted to write that as an ordered pair, I would say 0, -3. Okay, let's look at B. So our example B. So once again, I can see that my equation is already in standard form. Ax plus by is equal to 60. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the x-intercept. So when I'm looking for the x-intercept, I know that my y is just going to be 0. So this is just prompting me to see. That's why I wrote it at the top. So I'm going to take my equation, this -5x plus 6y, so 6 times 0 is equal to 60. So I'm just going to substitute in 0 there for my y. So now this just simplifies out. So what I have is 5x is equal to 60. And now I'm just going to divide by that negative 5, negative 5. So then x here is equal to a negative 12. So my x-intercept is negative 12. So that's what my x-intercept is. And if I wanted to write that as an ordered pair to graph it, I would write it as negative 12, 0. So that is my x-intercept. So I'm going to take the same equation now and solve for the y-intercept. So my same equation is my negative 5x plus 6y is equal to 60. So I'm going to find the y-intercept, so therefore I'm going to replace my x with 0 is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to replace my x with 0, and then I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to just take and I'm going to substitute my 0 in for x, and so that's going to give me the 6y, so let's just do the work over here. So substitute the 0 in, so 6y is equal to 60. So this now is just simplifies out, so 6y is equal to 60, divide by 6, so y then is equal to 10. So I know that my y-intercept is 10. So if I wanted to write an ordered pair, I know my y is 0, my x is 0, and my y is 10. So, I didn't write this up here. So the y-intercept, so let's just write this up there once again, just so you remember it. The more you write it, the more you're going to remember it. So I know 0, y. Okay, so let's look at, so why don't you go ahead and pause the video and then do the reflect and then the your turn 3 and 4. Okay, so welcome back. I'm going to just go ahead and go through it. So if the point 5, 0 is on the graph, so it's asking you, is this the y-intercept? So you know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that point is right there. That is not the y-intercept. So therefore, this is the x-intercept is what you're given. So if you're not for sure, just plot the point. Just plot the point. So this is x, this is y. All right, so the your turn. So once again, I'm just going to start off by writing my x-intercept. I know is going to be x0. So that's what I'm going to solve for first. And then my y-intercept is going to be 0, y. So I'm going to solve for my x-intercept first. So I'm going to substitute in 0 for my y. So I substituted in 0. So this is now just 0. So 8x is equal to 28. And then I'm going to divide by 8. So 8x is equal to 3.5. And now, so my x-intercept is 3.5. Now I'm going to do my y-intercept. So same thing, I'm just going to take my same equation and I'm going to just substitute in 0 for x. So 8 times 0 plus 7y is equal to 28. So this is nothing now, so that's just 0. You don't have to write it, but I'm just writing it to show you. It's just 0. So now I have 7y is equal to 28. I'm going to divide by 7. So my y-intercept is 4 then. So my y is equal to 4. So my y-intercept is 4. Okay, let's look at number 4. Okay, so once again, I'm going to solve for my x-intercept, and then I'm going to solve for my y-intercept. So I'm just going to take it one at a time. So my x-intercept, my y is 0, and I just look up and see. Just look down wherever you wrote it. Just look and see to make sure that you're substituting it in correctly. So now I know that 8 times 0 is 0. So I'm going to just go ahead and say, so negative 6x is minus 0, so that's nothing. So negative 6x is equal to 24. So I'm going to divide by the negative 6. So therefore, x then is equal to a negative 4. So I know my x-intercept is a negative 4. And now I'm going to go ahead and solve for my y-intercept is what I'm going to do. So same equation, is negative 6x minus 8y is equal to 24. So I'm going to substitute in my 0 for x. So negative 6 times 0 minus 8y is equal to 24. So once again, that's just nothing. So negative 8y. So divide by negative 8. So y then is equal to negative 3. So my y-intercept is a negative 3. So I could write this as an ordered pair, so this could be negative 4, 0. That's my x-intercept, and this would be 0, negative 3. I could also write number 3 as an ordered pair, so 3.5, 0. And this one is 0, 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and then make a new one for the next part.